Hello and welcome to Fizzy's Tech. In today's video we're going to be building an ITX system. The center stage for this build will be the RTX 3080 by Gigabyte here. The build will be using the X570 iGaming motherboard here by Asus. Will be housed in the Master NR200P here. For cooling, we're going to go with the Silverstone low profile 240 mm AIO there. To power the system, we're going to go with the Corsair SF750, 750 watt power supply, which is what the recommendation is when using this card. For storage, we'll be going with the 1 terabyte Western Digital Black SN750 there, and to complete the system we'll go with the 16 gig kit memory by Corsair, which is the Vengeance RGB Pro. The CPU of choice for this build is the Ryzen 7 3700X. Right, with that, let's get into it. Take out the board. And first things first, let's get the CPU mounted. Before doing that, let's lift the flap and have a look for the golden triangle there on this corner, which should align to this corner here. So let's do that. The CPU should just drop straight into place, like so. Give it a little wiggle to make sure that it's not moving, and lock it. Next, let's go ahead and install the 1 terabyte storage. Ready. On this board, the NVMe would sit underneath this heatsink here, so let's remove that. Be careful when removing this heatsink, as there are 7 little pins underneath. There's these 7 pins that are very fragile, so be very careful when removing that. Okay. In my previous video I did miss adding the HD audio connection, so let's do that in this one. Take off this connector here, and then there is a small HD audio connector there. It looks very similar to the large one, but in fact it's actually quite a bit smaller. There's an adapter, so I'll get that added right away. And that's the adapter. So as you can see, hold on, let's take it out. As you can see, the normal size is that big and it becomes this small. Not much of saving, but Asus did that in the ITX board. So this would actually hook up to this connector here. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and put this back into place. Oh, let's put that on later when we do the MVNE. So let's remove the screw. Right, in you go. Okay. That's it. The heatsink itself actually has a thermal pad on the back, so just remove the tape from it. And here's a tricky part where you've got to make sure that the 7 pins realign. Once they're in, slowly push it down. No, alignment is off. Once they're in, slowly push it into place and align by some slight pressure. And then you can go ahead and screw this back down. Remember, the long screw is on the front. Right, then we can attach this back, but you have to fold the cable a little, like so. Right. Right. Next, let's put in the memory. So again, just have to remove. There we go. Right. Align the center notch. Just flip open these. On newer motherboards, you only have one side that opens, so just be aware of that. Now slowly slide it in until you can't go in anymore. Then apply a little extra pressure on the left side first before the right. You should get the click. Same again, slide it into alignment of the notch was not right there. Okay, now it's correct. Slowly drop it into place. Apply a little pressure on the left first, then the right. And that was the second click. So we have the memory, the storage, and the CPU installed. Because this is a new system, one of the things that I normally don't show on camera is a quick bench test. So I would like to do that today, just to show that everything works before we put it in the case. The reason for it is quite simple. This case is not easy to work with, therefore if you had any parts that were not working, it would be a very good idea to identify those before going through all the heartache of installing and then having to uninstall everything. So let's do that. We will test all the parts that are meant for this system in the benching. So power supply. Very small power supply. All right. Warning sticker here. Silent operation at low and moderate loads. This model, the fan will not spin. So it's giving you a warning up front that the fan may not spin when you power on initially until the system takes heavy load. So let's remove that sticker. And there's a power supply adapter there. And a bunch of cables. All right. The 24 pin, one CPU power cable, and the 24 pin is all we need for the moment. And of course we're going to need the graphics card, so let's bring that out next. Take out the graphics card. That's a very, very big graphics card compared to the motherboard. Let's see. We shall plug that in, push the release catch down, align it. Okay. That is now connected. Let's connect up the power supply, the 24 pin first. And to the power supply side. Right, this connector is the motherboard CPU connector, which is an 8-pin. We'll connect that first. And now we can go over to the power supply side and see that you have these 1, 2, 3, 4 connectors here, which are your CPU and PCIe sockets. So let's connect that here. Next, this GPU requires two 2 points of power here, so let's get those cables. So for the GPU, typically on the power supply cables you have PCIe printed on there, so make sure you get the right cables for this. What we can do, since we're benching, we can use one and daisy chain it. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, the PCI power down the bottom here, use the second slot. And they are 6 or 8 connectors. Just bring them all in line together. There's a little notch there that shows you how to align them. Let's go ahead and do that. And for the other side, we'll do the same. This can be a little fiddly, so just be patient. They are kind of fiddly, so just be a little patient. There we go. We are now connected up. So I have my DisplayPort connect cable here, which I will connect up. All right. Okay, so here's the power. Let's hook that up. And we can see the motherboard has power. Okay, so now we've got power connected to the motherboard. The motherboard's flashing. I am very well aware that there's no heatsink connected right now. The goal here is just to have the machine turn on for a few seconds just to see that you get a post, i.e. you get your intro screen and your BIOS, then you can shut down. That is enough validation, I feel, to start mounting everything into the case. Unfortunately, these pins are very, very small, but there are 2 pins down here which you have to short together to get the machine to start, like so. Now the system itself is starting to boot up. Let's see whether we get any display. Fans on the GPU is running. And there we go. We can now see that the BIOS has launched. So we're ready at this point, I would say, to turn off the power supply now. And I have a good feel that now everything is in order, so we can go ahead and start mounting everything into the case. As we've just seen, an open test bench was performed to confirm that all the parts are working as expected. Do take note that it was a very quick test and should not be left running for long periods of time. And please do not install Windows without a heatsink installed onto the CPU. If for whatever reason you do have the system running for too long, the system will protect itself by shutting down once the CPU temperature rises. Please help to like and subscribe so that you will be notified when the next part of the video will be uploaded. Thank you for watching.